Welcome to FocalPoint. One question, one answer, focused on issues that concern our island. Please take a few minutes and tell the community about yourself. I mean, I've met you a few times. I note your unusual Australian accent for this part of the country. I hear you do some work with the city, and I understand that you like to actually be on our crazy board. So maybe you take a few minutes and introduce yourself to the community.
Yeah, well, my name is Vicki Marsden and I am running for the board. Yes, I do have a bit of an accent, or maybe you guys have the accent and I don't. But I've been in the US from Australia 18 years. I've been on the island 7.5 years. Purchased a house here about 5.5 years, or nearly 6 years ago. First of all, I lived here rented and decided I did want to move down here from San Antonio. The island really was a place where I sort of accidentally discovered it. When I first moved to the US, I moved to San Antonio. Had a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you need to go to Port A and it's wonderful." And I would go down there for vacations or for weekends. And then one day I just sort of happened across this island and it was like, oh wow, this is actually really nice. So I would come down and stay down at Whitecap Beach, and then that progressed to the opportunity to live down here. So I thought I'll just try it, and of course I like it because I bought a house and I stayed. The type of work I do has allowed me to do that. I am a process improvement specialist. Some people say quality manager or that type of thing. What I do is I'm an independent consultant, so I work for myself. Sometimes I will do work for other consultants as a sub. We assess companies, or I assess companies against a best business practices model. So it's not the world according to Vicki, it's the world according to the best business practices model. I've done some work I've been a project manager for a software development and courseware development company. I've also managed projects, so I have a good background in managing projects. So that all sort of combined to this work where it's very specific. And to work for to win contracts for the Department of Defense here in the US, you often need a certification, a certain quality certification, to make sure that your work is up to standard. And really what we're looking for is to get businesses to have repeatable, sustainable processes and procedures that are documented. So ostensibly you could take everyone in your office and they could win the lottery and leave, and tomorrow morning, as long as I could find the staff that were qualified to do the job, they would be able to carry on doing the job. And it wouldn't be a mystery. So less tribal knowledge, more it's available to find and to learn what you need to do.
So it sounds like that type of a procedure in our offices might have been valuable in the current transition we're under now from the old director to the new director.
Absolutely. I think you just need to work in a place for a while. And then what happens is people that stay in a business for quite a few years have all the information. But if it's not documented and updated regularly to make sure it's still current practices, that person becomes, well, I think they feel they become very valuable because they are the holders of all the knowledge. But it's not very productive, because then you bring in new people and you've got to side-by-side train them for weeks, and that means two of you are not being productive. And it's just easier, not that you can automate everything, but you can certainly document most of what you're doing. And especially then when you learn a lesson on a project, for example, with project management, if you learn a lesson along the way, like a big oops, you should roll that back into your processes so that the next time you're doing a project, you don't do the same mistake, because some of those things can be very costly and can really hurt businesses. So typically I work up in the Northeast, and I get to do that remotely, which allowed me to move to Corpus Christi. I do a little bit of work in San Antonio. Rarely do I actually have to go on site. Usually it's only if it's a new contract, then I'll go and sit with them to be familiar with what they're doing and interview people and see how they're doing things. Then I just have to have access to all their files. And
so your did I understand from talking to you the other day that you're a dual citizen?
I am a dual citizen. Yes, I'm a Julie.
Welcome. And I know that I've been to at least one island neighbors dinner, so if you could tell us a little bit about where that came from and what that's all about.
That's okay. That is actually really an important thing to me, and that's a social setting. The dual citizen thing I did in 2009. Decided to do that in 2009. Okay, so when I moved down to the island, I was married, and I think it was about 18 months ago, I had gotten divorced. And I noticed that because I work from home, and I live in a canal, I live in a much more modest house than this area I'm in now, but I live on a canal. The only time I would go into an office would be, I would leave and then I would come back in the afternoon, drive in the driveway into the garage, and then shut myself away. Neither of my neighbours live there as permanent residents. That's their vacation homes, so I would see them on weekends, maybe during summer. And it was sort of rather lonely, I noticed. I was a shut-in. And my dogs don't talk, and so...
Or maybe you think they are talking, which says,
and then,
I've got to get out of here.
And so it happened to be a Saturday, and I thought to myself, I would really like to just go and have dinner with somebody, anybody at this point. And I'm not sort of go to the bar person by myself and talk to people. I mean, I might go with a group if I went, but I wouldn't do that normally. So I thought I'd like to go to dinner, and I thought, I wonder if I put something on next door and see if anyone wants to go with me. I'm happy to talk about anything. And so I did go. I put it on next door at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and 16 people turned up at Doc's.
Wow.
So I thought, there are a lot of lonely people out here. So I felt there was enough value to that, not just to amuse me once a month, but to really get the neighbourhood to know each other. And I like the idea of community. I've experienced some country town stuff in my lifetime. I like the idea of going to the shop and seeing someone who knows, hi, how you doing? I don't spend a lot of time on the street side of my house because it's all pebblecrete, and I only have a tiny little garden. It takes 5 minutes to water it, so it's not like I'm hanging out there to talk to people walking their dogs. So really this was a good way to do it. And I have been continued to do it. Excuse me. And also put bonfires on. So.
Oh, that's right. I've been to a bonfire as well.
Yes.
That's great.
They're fun. I like digging the holes and lighting the fire.
I like it when somebody has come hours before and dug the hole and set the fire up for me as the crowd shows up.
We work well when
I'm glad that somebody does that for us. So thank you for taking the time to introduce yourself to the community. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Starry, starry night.